Hi, hello, and welcome to PJs and Pages. I'm Danielle, and I am, for those of you who do not know, I am a stay-at-home mom who used to be a teacher, and I read a lot of books. I wasn't actually an English teacher, I just happen to love reading. And today I am coming to you with my February wrap-up. Now, it is the Saturday before the end of February, so there's still quite a few days left. I think there's like 5 days left in February because it is a leap year, so there's an extra day. But I know that I am not going to finish any other books because the book that I'm reading right now is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff, and this thing is chonky, man. Like, intimidating chonky, and I'm only there. So, and I'm sick, as you can probably hear in my voice. So reading it has been a little bit slow. It's amazing, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna finish it before February. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this reading wrap up now because I have the time and I have the opportunity. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first book that I finished in February was The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon, and I have the gorgeous, is this Fairy Loot? Let's see. Yeah, gorgeous Fairy Loot edition, and I'm so glad that I do because I love this book. It is a romantasy that started as Raylo fan fiction, and it reads a little bit like sci-fi, honestly. It is the first in a series, so if you're one of those people who likes to wait for the series to come out, you may need to wait a little bit. But essentially, it is about Taliesin and Alaric, who are on opposite sides of a war that has been going on basically their whole lives. And she is light magic, he is dark magic. You're seeing the Raylo there? Yeah, and together their magic combines into something completely new. So due to some unforeseen circumstances, they are thrust into an alliance of sorts where they will have to confront the secrets of their past and find within each other some hidden passions. It is a super slow burn with an interesting world and magic system. It's a true enemies to lovers and a really fantastic debut book. I'm excited to read the sequel when it comes out. So there was one really good spicy scene, but it's also not full-on intercourse, so I'm not sure if it counts as truly spicy, but it had me clutching my pearls. So take that as you will. The next book that I read was Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I've been reading the whole Throne of Glass series. That is one of my goals for this year. So this is the third in the series if you read it in the order that I am reading it in. And it continues the story of Selena Sardathian, who is working as the king's assassin, and we learn more about her background. We learn a little bit more of the magic system in this world, and there are some big major reveals that had my jaw on the floor. It was so good. So I will be posting a vlog with my full spoilery review when I finish the series. So I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more books to read, and some of them are chonkers. So it's gonna take a while, but I am enjoying the series thoroughly. The next book that I read was The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and this is a standalone romance with some magical realism in which Clementine inherits her aunt's apartment and is randomly thrust back in time 7 years in the past, when a man named Ewan is currently residing in that apartment. They fall for each other, but she lives 7 years in his future, he lives 7 years in her past, so their relationship seems to be doomed because of the timing. So it has much more depth to it than I thought it was going to have. It's much more depth than your average rom-com, honestly. So definitely check your trigger warnings. Possibly my new favorite romance, though. The writing style reminded me a lot of Emily Henry, if Emily Henry had like magical elements to her romances. So the writing style was very good in my opinion. There were a couple of spicy scenes, but nothing like, oh my god, the spiciest book I've ever read. But there were some spicy scenes. So if you don't like spice, you might have to skip over those. After The 7-Year Slip, I read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I read this for my library's book club. We actually are meeting about it this coming week. So it is about a woman who is hired as the bodyguard for this celebrity, and his mother is ill, so he needs someone. He's coming back home, but he needs someone to watch him because he's got some stalkers. And he doesn't want his family to know the finer details because they would be worried about him and they need to focus on his mother's illness. So she acts as his girlfriend so that way the family isn't aware that she's actually his bodyguard. It's perfect if you love the bodyguard trope flipped on its head. There's some forced proximity, opposites attract. It was cute, but I don't remember the finer details, so it wasn't a standout for me, which is probably what I'm going to be telling my book club, because don't remember the details. Maybe they'll be able to like spur some for me. But I honestly can't even remember if there were spicy scenes in this or if it was mostly fade to black. I have a feeling it wasn't super spicy just because from what I know of Catherine Center's writing and the people that I know that love her, they don't love spicy books. So I have a feeling it's not too spicy. If there is anything, it's not anything out of this world. So, but it was cute. It was like a, like reading a rom-com, like watching a little rom-com movie. It's nothing that you're gonna remember for the rest of your life, but it was fun. It was a good ride. So that was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. After The Bodyguard, I finished To Woo and To Wed by I finished reading To Woo and To Wed by Martha Waters. This is the final book in the Regency Vows series of interconnected standalones. You don't have to read the other books in the series, but I do recommend it because you get the backstories of the other side characters, and it makes the reading experience more enjoyable, in my opinion. It is a second chance romance for a young widow and an heir to a dukedom who pretend to get engaged because she wants her sister to move on, and his dad is like forcing him to settle down, but not with her. So there are hijinks, there are some steamy times, and there are lovable side characters. It's a light, fun read. I always enjoy the books in this series. I think there's like 5 of them. They're all very similar, and I have enjoyed every single one of them. Up next, I read Love Naturally by Sophie Sullivan. This is for the Alyssa K. Adams book club, and it is about city girl Presley, who gets her boyfriend of 8 months a vacation to the Get Lost Resort. I think it's that one, Get Lost Lodge, which is basically like this outdoorsman resort where they go fishing, hiking, camping, all of that fun stuff. Clearly not something that her city girl self is interested in, but he dumps her instead, and she decides to take the vacation just to spite him, which we love that. And while she's there, Beckett is helping his brother get the lodge back and running on its feet. And he meets Presley, and they are clearly opposites, but from the minute their eyes meet, there is clear chemistry. Like, they are obviously attracted to each other. And as they start talking and getting to know each other, there's a clear connection between them no matter what their opposites are. It is a bit insta-lovey, but in the absolute best way. I don't always love instant love, but this was done really well. And it is opposites attract, and it is a really cute rom-com. This is Closed Door. So I talk a little bit about this in my, I'm going to be talking about this in my library reading blog, or did I already post that? I don't know. I will be having a library reading blog. If I haven't posted it yet, it will be posted soon. And basically, it's closed door, and I don't always love closed door romances, but I liked this one a lot, and I think it's just because of the way it was done. And I will definitely read more books about the side characters in this one because I already love the characters, and I can totally see that she's like building up a whole little like independent standalones, interconnected standalones. So I'm excited to see if there's other books coming out for the side characters. Next up, I read Orbital by Samantha Harvey. I thought this was a sci-fi, and that's where you find it in the bookstore, and technically it is. I guess it really is, but it reads more like literary nonfiction. This follows the day in the life of 6 different fictional astronauts who are working on the International Space Station. It's very slice of life-esque and almost like a mockumentary. There's no real plot or even character development or character analysis. It's more about the beauty of our Earth, the universe, and humanity's place within it and their impact on the natural world. So I liked it, but I didn't love it because of the lack of plot. And I wish that there had been some kind of like climax or conclusion that we were working towards, but I get that the monotony of it was kind of intentional. And also, there were no quotation marks. That's a big no-no for me. Like, I'm not one of those readers who's cool. Sally Rooney, can't do her because she got no quotation marks, and I need to have quotation marks. It's just the way my brain works. So hated that, but I loved the message of the book, and I definitely, like, I heard David Attenborough narrating it the entire time, so there's that. You know, I liked it. I didn't love it. That's all I can say about it. It does have a beautiful cover, and the message is beautiful. So if you're interested in things like that, I definitely recommend. Next up, I finished The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery on my Kindle, and that was a surprising win for me because I did not love Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, who's the same author. And this follows the story of Mr. A.J. Thickery, who owns a bookshop on a small island town, sorry, I'm trying to read this, and is the curmudgeonly character who just seems to be going through it since the death of his wife, when one day a baby is left in his bookstore with a rather mysterious note, and his entire life changes. There's a little bit of a character study, a little bit of a romance, a lot of love for literature and books. It's got wonderful side characters and a plot with so many moving pieces that all blend perfectly into this beautiful piece of fiction that had me in tears. So I loved it. There's really nothing else I can say about it. I don't want to ruin any parts of it because I feel like going into this one blind is probably, or as blind as possible, is probably the best thing. But if you like books about books, this one is for you. If you don't mind sadder stories, this one is for you. Loved this book. Absolutely loved it. I won't be reading it again because it is on the sadder side. And I like happy books to reread because I don't need to be experiencing trauma over again. But surprisingly, this was one that I actually really do love, and I definitely do recommend. The next book I read, actually the last book in this reading wrap-up, is The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. And this one is a hard one to place genre-wise. It's both romance, women's fiction, southern fiction, and magical realism all in one. And it's about Sadie, who has lived her whole life in her small town, knowing that her magic comes with a curse where she experiences 4 heartbreaks. She will lose it forever. Enter Jake, her first heartbreak. And he comes back to town, and the chemistry between them is still very apparent. And then Sadie's grandmother gets ill, and her estranged brother, heartbreak number 2, shows up. As her grandmother gets sicker and her feelings for Jake start to grow again, Sadie will have to choose between her magic and love. Check your trigger warnings for this one. I had some other issues with it besides just the trigger warnings that I mentioned in my library reading blog that took this from a 4-star read to a 3.5-star read. But one thing I didn't mention in the blog was why do powerful women always have to give up their power in order to save everybody else? Like, why can't they figure out a way to keep their power and also save everybody? It seems to be like a recurring theme in the magical books that I read. I've noticed they have to give up everything to save the man almost always, and it just doesn't, it happened in A Court of Silver Flames. It happened, I don't see why powerful women have to be giving up their power. It's just a pet peeve of mine. It doesn't ruin the story. I still think the story was really cute, but yeah, I thought for sure we would get some spice in this one just because of the language. There's cursing in this, I know that's like a pet peeve for some people. So if you don't like books where they're dropping F-bombs and stuff, this is probably not going to be the book for you. But there is some language in this. So I thought because of the language that we were going to get some spicy scenes, and clearly with how Jake and Sadie are into each other, I was like, for sure, it's coming soon, right? At least at the very end, right? No, all you get is some fuzzy memories of their past and some heavy petting makeout session. So it's pretty low spice. So if you're fine with the cursing and you don't like spice in your books, this might be one for you. And that is my February reading wrap up. Yeah, I'm not reading a Kindle book right now, so there's no way I'm going to finish it. I'm reading this one. They actually have this one on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm alternating between the physical copy and reading it on my Kindle just because it's so long and I do want to get through it. And so I am like, it is the only book that I'm focusing on right now, especially with my brain all full of boogies. I can't focus on more than one book right now. So yeah, it was a pretty good reading month. I'm gonna leave links below for my romance reading blog and my library reading blog so you can see more thoughts about some of these books. And I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were, especially some of my more like iffy reviews. I'm curious to see what you thought about those books yourself. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.